driving around in this car. So this video is just going to explain a little bit more about this car and my experience of owning it. Firstly, it's obviously a Subaru Impreza WRX. It's pretty quick. Not the most quickest car these days, but a lot of cars these days have a similar amount of power. But for the time, 10 years ago when this car was made, it was pretty good, and it still outperforms many cars that are on the road today. Even 10 years on, it still drives really well. Nothing has really gone wrong with this car at all in that time. Subarus are known for their very high reliability. One thing that did go wrong a couple of years ago was one of the air pumps went. That cost about £500 to replace, and since then nothing else has really happened. I've had a minor problem with the auto levelling headlight sensor, but it was easily fixed. In terms of the interior of the car, it is fairly basic, but it has everything that you need. It's got aircon as well, which still works, and in the back you've got the Isofix child seat adapters. So it's also, I always say that it's a family car to people who ask whether I'm going to get rid of it now that I've got a son. The answer is no, but obviously if I was to have another one, then I might have to, because it's not really big enough. Wouldn't really be big enough for 2 children, but at the moment it's fine. The cost of running it is pretty high compared to some cars. It's in one of the highest tax bands in the UK, so that's currently costing £500 a year because of the level of CO2 that it emits, which is higher than other manufacturers. Other cars with similar power seem to be able to emit much less CO2 than this one. So that's unfortunate, but it's the price you pay for having a car like this, I suppose. Everything else, like insurance, is pretty much the same as any other car, really. When you've been driving for as long as I have, and built up, I know, quite a lot of no claims. It's not really much at all. Obviously, if you keep driving it hard, then you're going to go through tyres and brakes and petrol quite quickly, so that's another expense really, but you don't have to drive it hard. But then what's the point of having it if you don't really? That's what it's for, I suppose. One thing that confuses me is why more people don't have these cars, because they're so reliable. It does everything that any other car would do. It's got everything that you would possibly need, really. I suppose people are probably put off by the high cost of the fuel and the tax, but when you consider the reliability and the fact that you're not going to have to take it in to get it repaired very often, then it sort of works out for the best in that respect. I suppose people tend to just buy new cars. A lot of people just tend to buy new cars these days and then swap them after a few years. So reliability is not really an issue in that respect, but for people who like to keep their cars for a long time, you can't really go wrong. It does seem that Japanese cars tend to be more reliable than cars from other countries. But this car in particular is quite rare. There's only 100 or so of this particular model, which is the SLs, so it's got leather seats and a sunroof. and you can find that information on howmanyleft.co.uk, I believe. I'll put a link to that in the description. I also had to recently replace the brake calipers on the front, but since the car is 10 years old, brake calipers don't last forever, so it was well worth doing because 2 of the pots had got stuck. And the braking is much better now as a result. Before the brakes were binding, but now the brakes are as good as new at the front. So I just bought some reconditioned calipers from Big Red, and now, as I say, they're as good as new. In terms of performance, this car produces around 227 brake horsepower and does 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds. So that's a lot faster than any car I've had before. The previous car I owned did 0 to 60 in about 8 seconds, so it was a definite noticeable improvement from that. And also this car has 4-wheel drive, which means it's good in all sorts of weathers, and also it means you can get off to a very good start from being stopped, and that's an advantage over 2-wheel drive cars. For me, I do love being able to drive it every day to work and back. It makes me look forward to going to work. I mean, obviously I enjoy my job, but if you can make the commute to work, to and from work, interesting as well, then I think that's definitely a bonus. I would probably find it a bit boring to go on the train every day, as I know some people do. My journey to and from work is not that long, but which is probably a good thing considering how much, what the miles per gallon are on this car, which is around in the 20s, especially if you're putting your foot down quite a lot. It's definitely an enjoyable way of getting to and from work. So in conclusion, I would say that I definitely would recommend this car. Apart from, I mean, obviously if you're on a budget, then there are definitely cheaper cars out there. But in terms of reliability, you can't really go wrong. Well, so far that's my experience anyway. Thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about this video or my experience driving this car, please let me know in the comments. And I'll see you next time.